Welcome to the first annual Nasboys Podcast Awards. I am your host, Mike Fob Fan 101, with my good friend and co-host Christian, aka Savage NASCAR.
What to do, Nasboys crew? We got a lot of awards to give out tonight. Some good and some for bad. So let's get started.
Yeah, so we are going to get started with the best new track. Now, before we begin with the winner of this award, I am aware now that Portland was added to the Xfinity schedule, which I was not thinking of Portland because I was mostly thinking of the Cup Series schedule. So the nominees are, of course, Gateway and the LA Coliseum for the Clash, which the winner is with 10 votes. Drum roll, please. Gateway. So I can understand this. It was a very close race. Gateway won with 10 votes, and LA Coliseum had 9 votes, which in mathematical terms is 53% of the vote and 47% of the vote. I honestly have mixed opinions because Gateway was a very good race, not just because Logano won, but it was a great race in general. But the LA Coliseum was also very interesting. It's really cool to see NASCAR in like a stadium aspect, even though a lot of people thought that it was going to be crappy, and it ended up being not too bad. So Gateway winning, not bad at all. I'm not surprised. So yeah, enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree with Gateway being the best new track on the schedule, but I mean Portland would have been a good race if it didn't rain. There was a lot of chaos in it, which was pretty interesting. Same did the
Yeah.
Coliseum. It had its moments, but I'm not a huge fan of the Coliseum race, even though I like the Los Angeles Coliseum for football.
Right, I agree. So next up, we got the best pit crew. Now, some of these I did with a question box. So the ones receiving votes are between the 9 team and the Trackhouse 99 team with Daniel Suarez. So therefore, it's automatically a tie.
Hmm.
However, my vote is completely different. I'm voting number 20, Christopher Bell's pit crew. I thought that they were very fast. I didn't see them doing too many mistakes, and he had great cars every week. So I wouldn't mind them. Logano's crew was also very good. So those are really my two picks.
Yeah, I was thinking of Elliott and Bell, but I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with Bell also.
All right. So Christopher Bell wins best pit crew of the season. Next up, let's see, what else could we do? I guess
Well,
we
we have
could
a lot.
do, what was that?
I was saying we have a lot, so we're trying to
Yeah,
figure out which one we should do first.
I know it's really hard. I guess
My most
next up,
valuable driver.
yeah, most valuable driver. So I should have thought of some nominees for this one, but the winner is Chase Elliott, which I agree with. He had a very good season, as we talked about in the grades video. If you have not seen that, go check it out. It was a pretty good video. Um, yeah, he just overall had the best season of everybody. And if I were to think of a most valuable driver or like the best driver of the season, it would honestly have to be Chase Elliott. Some other nominees would include Ross Chastain, Joey Logano. Who else? Bell was a very good one.
Tyler
You know
Reddick.
what? One award I forgot to do was most improved driver.
Yeah,
Damn.
I thought of most improved driver. Some nominees for that, but most valuable driver, I'd say, of course, the obvious answer is Chase Elliott, but Kyle Larson's up there in that conversation. Also, Tyler Reddick was another one that came to my mind.
Well, I guess if we were to do most improved driver, to think about it now, definitely some options would be Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, let's see, Christopher Bell, Eric Jones. So I think those guys might be the best options. So maybe actually, you know what? I'm gonna put a poll on the story right now to see what people got to say, and then I'll put the winner in a text box right now here. So yeah, I
So,
can't believe we screwed up that.
well, I would say real quick that Some that definitely really improved this year. Christopher Bell, he had 3 wins this year, and I picked him to be in the championship four last year, if I'm correct. And he just didn't have it. He didn't even make it out the first round of the playoffs, I think. And then Ty Reddick, he had 3 wins this year with 10 top fives and 15 top tens, along with leading 503 laps. So I think Ty Reddick definitely had a much improved season as well. And then Eric Jones contended for a lot of wins this year, but only got one, which was in the Southern 500. But he had a great year also.
Another one that we could talk about is most disappointing driver, which is
Mm.
really between Brad Keselowski and Martin Truex for me. And I think I would have to give my pick to Brad Keselowski.
There's a other than those, there was some that I thought of. Like one of them being Kyle Busch. I thought about Kyle Busch. I thought
Mm.
about Alex Bowman. I think mine's actually gonna be Bowman because he had a lot of hype after the 2021 season. People are always going to win more. Even I said that, and then he didn't run that well compared to 2021. So I could say Alex Bowman is mine.
Yeah, I'm putting another poll of that. But I agree with Alex Bowman completely. He was very disappointing. Um, I don't know, just Brad Keselowski. I feel like he was coming off a very solid season, and everybody was thinking the next gen car was going to be a good car for him since he's a very experienced driver, and it was supposed to be based more off of skill. But he ended up having one of, if not the worst season of his career. It was just awful, in my opinion.
Well,
I know we talked
I
about
mean,
that.
to be fair, like I picked that he wouldn't have, or I predicted he wouldn't have a great season because there's a new team and everything, and it turned out that I was actually right on that for once.
Hmm. So next up, we got best manufacturer. Obviously, we all know the nominees for this, and this winner is pretty predictable. Chevy with 16 votes. Um, I guess you could say that Hendrick looked really good this year. Trackhouse was really good. RCR improved a lot, so I can understand why that was the case.
Was that team of the year? Because my internet just cut out really bad.
That was best manufacturer.
Oh, best manufacturer. Hmm, I'm gonna go with Chevy this year. I feel like Chevy
Yeah,
was way more competitive, and in the last 2 years they have been.
yep, Chevy won. So that was very good. I mean, team of the year, I guess really the nominees for that would be Hendrick, Penske, Gibbs, and Trackhouse. But RCR
Good.
could also receive some, but actually, well, maybe not get. To be fair, if we're doing four Gibbs,
Well, I would say Gibbs was better than Penske this year, and I think sure Haas was better than Gibbs. So it's tough. I'm gonna go with Hendrick.
I think Hendrick as well. Um, yeah, just basically Hendrick.
What about for some
Um,
of the other series? Like obviously Junior Motorsports was the best in the Xfinity series, but I
well, yeah,
mean
all around. Well,
your
yeah,
sport was decent in the trucks this year. Thorsport definitely, I would say Thorsport's probably my team of the year for the truck series.
yeah, just all around. It's Chevy, even though Thor Sports Toyota, I believe, so they don't count. All right, so now I guess we can do best and worst paint scheme. So the nominees for best paint scheme include William Byron's throwback, Ross Chastain's throwback, Daniel Suarez's GoPro, and Kurt Busch slash Bubba Wallace's Moneyline cars. I included both of them because they had very similar schemes. Drum roll. Ross Chastain's throwback wins with 15 votes. I
Yeah.
think I would agree with that. Well, it was definitely up there, but I think my favorite was what's William Byron's. That was my favorite throughout the season.
You know, I have to agree with you on William Byron's scheme because I yes, I love the Coca-Cola throwback one. I always love the Coca-Cola schemes, but it was really cool to see the Rainbow Warriors car back out there at Darlington. I was hoping it was going
He
to
drove the
win.
Flames.
Yeah, I was hoping he was going to win that, but of course Logano had to put him in the wall with 2 laps to go. But that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I think all those paint schemes definitely were the best ones for sure.
Yeah.
I really liked that Daniel Suarez one too. 22 excites paint schemes. I didn't really like them that much, even though the money line car was pretty cool and the McDonald's one was all right, pretty solid, but they didn't catch my eye as much as some of the other ones did. But definitely a great choice by for Ross Chastain.
And then next up, we got the worst paint scheme. This one I couldn't really think of nominees, but then when people started telling us nominees, I completely agree with some of these. Logano's red Verizon car, I 100% agree with that. That was so bland. Kevin Harvick's Hunt Brothers car, that was another bland one. You gave me one, Ricky Stenhouse's Velveeta car.
Yep.
It was just the cheese. That was just no, that was bad. I think personally I would have to go with the Logano car. That was just awful.
I thought of another scheme that was really good, and that was Brad Keselowski's throwback one at Darlington. I really like that one. But for me, of course, it has to be Velveeta. I mean, come on. Stenhouse Jr. has the worst paint schemes out of everybody. We've been saying this for the last, like, what, 2 years now? Like, just
Like the year,
awful
yeah.
scheme every year, bro.
All right. Now we got the most memorable moment and the worst moment of the season.
Oh, boy. This is going to be fun.
Well, obviously, the unanimous one was the Hail Melon.
Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack to race his way into the championship 4.
I completely agree with that, period. There's no doubt in my mind that the Hail Melon is the best. What do you think of it? Obviously,
because I know
that was it. It was unanimous. I don't really know of any other. Well, actually, I have a nominee. The when Eric Jones won the Southern 500.
In front of him. 1 lap to go. Presented by Credit One Bank. Can Hamlin do it? Just a half a lap remaining.
The lap traffic's getting way out of the way here. Eric Jones pulls away on the back straightaway. Denny deep into turn 3.
What will he try to do? Denny Hamlin up to the back bumper. But the 43 of Eric Jones comes out of turn number 4. Jones is going to win the Southern 500.
And it was the anniversary of Richard Petty's.
Yeah, I think that definitely was a great moment. Going back and look at some of those moments, I mean, there was the Bristol Dirt finish. That was pretty crazy.
One bank. Here it comes.
Back white flag. Still inside.
One chance.
He
lost his nose a little bit on the 8. He's right on him.
He's there. This
Will he go
big.
for a slide job? This is it. There it goes.
Here he goes.
In for it. Down to the bottom. Slides up into him. Who's going to save it? Neither one. They both spin out. Kyle Busch. And Kyle Busch is going to win barely. Steals one. Holy cow. Tyler Reddick.
Which will have best finish later on in the video. There was also Marsville Spring Race. Nah, I'm just playing with y'all on that one. But Austin Cindric winning the Daytona 500 was actually a crazy one because he's a rookie. He ended up winning rookie.
Those two. Keselowski had the run, but he's going to need the help. Here it comes. Big push from Kyle Busch and from Chase Briscoe.
He's locked on there, too.
He's going to have to stay there.
Inside
Here
was
comes
there for a
another
second.
push from Kyle Busch on it outside.
Even mirror.
Cindric can't get too far out. Coming to turn 3 where it all came undone last year on the final lap. Briscoe's out. He can't get to the Austin Cindric, whose grandfather won the Indy 500 as a car owner. Cindric is going to bring them to the line way up high to block Ryan Blaney. And at the line, Cindric beats Bubba Wallace by half a car length, and they crash going into turn 1.
Of the year. So, other than that, most memorable moments. So a lot of them I can think of have to do, well, obviously, chaos, unfortunately, with tires, which is, I think, leads us into worst moment of the season. Tires, bro. Good year, man. Like that definitely gotta be the worst moment of the year, in my opinion. Other than Ty Gibbs wrecking his teammate at
Yeah.
Martinsville.
Now, 3 wide isn't going to work through 3 and 4. Sheldon Creed shoving the 19. He's sideways, but he lurches out front. The white flag one more time around. Jones gets tagged by the 54.
Whoa!
Ty Gibbs out front. Jones around. Caution comes out.
That was horrible. Bubba Wallace's dumping of Kyle Larson is pretty horrible too.
We're here. The
into the wall goes Bubba Wallace. And he comes back across the track, tags the 5. They're both in the wall. The caution comes out.
Flips the 20 car of Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell hard into the outside wall.
Then, of course, the concussions. So, what is your thoughts on those moments?
Well, before we get into that, we're just going to take a short break for time purposes. We will be right back. All right, guys, we are back. So we are going to talk about the worst moment of the season. I definitely agree the tires were the worst moment of the season, really, especially at the beginning of the season. Some other nominees included Texas, I believe the All-Star race. That is completely understandable. Gregson and Sage Karam's crash at Road America.
Right there. Oh, contact again. Josh Berry in the 8.
No. Slammed into the side of him, and he spins Sage Karam into the wall.
What a move by that yellow car of Jones to miss the wreck, and here comes the rest of the field.
They can't see. It's smoke and dust all the way across. More coming in too fast, and more contact.
A huge impact to Tyler Reddick in that 48.
Definitely, that was another one that looked bad. Kurt Busch's injury. I think I agreed with what you said. Bubba Wallace dumping Kyle Larson. That just looked really, really awful. For me, the worst moment of the season was what I just mentioned, the Kurt Busch injury. I think that it just looked like a bad look on NASCAR, considering that we've been such a safe sport for so many years. And I understand that, obviously injuries are going to happen. This is a very dangerous sport, and it is a sport. Injuries happen, but it's just, I don't know. It's like the way the cars were set up and how people were predicting that injuries were going to happen because of the leak crash tests that were happening over the year, or at the beginning of the year before the season started. I think that was the part that really made it worse to me. And, a lot of the other drivers that followed, like Alex Bowman, and then we were afraid that Reddick might have had a concussion, and then Kyle Larson could have had a concussion, and then who knows how many other drivers could have had a concussion without saying anything and didn't have as bad of symptoms as like Kurt Busch, where it kept him out of the race. So definitely, I got to agree with the injuries for the worst moment of the year.
Well, for me, it's the next gen car. I mean, it was rushed in. The single lug nut did not help at all. The toe links broke so many times. The tires were an issue. Goodyear's been pretty off for the last couple of years. So, yeah, that's my opinion. I think it's the tires and the next gen car was the worst moment of the year. And a close second, the Bubba Wallace incident with Kyle Larson.
Next up, we got the best race of the season. Some of the nominees include the Coke 600, Talladega Spring, Bristol Night Race, and Darlington Spring. And the winner of that is the Coke 600, which I completely agree. I thought the Coke 600 was a very exciting race. And I remember I follow an account, NASCAR Polls. He does polls like to say the best races. He has some on Google Docs as well. You should check them out. But yeah, every race, like he would include like the previous winner. Nothing was topping the Coke 600. I completely agree. Nothing really topped the Coke 600 in my eyes. I thought it was a great race, and I really enjoyed it.
I try not to be biased, and the Coca-Cola 600, I was there, so I do think it was a great race. But at the same time, it was a crash fest, a wreck fest.
Right.
Um, the Spring Junction race was a crash fest also, but that was a really good race too. We saw a little bit of everything in that. And I think both Darlington races were amazing. I thought the second Bristol race was really good also. So, I don't want to be biased, but it is the Coke 600. I feel like it was the best race of the year, but there were some other really solid races. Also that I'd like to mention Atlanta. Atlanta had some good ones.
Yeah.
But I got to go with the Coke 600.
And then next up, we got meme of the year. So as many of you guys know, we started our series meme of the week, where we list off 5 at a time, Christian. But anyway, my meme of the year was this one, Life of a NASCAR Fan. Here it is. I just felt like that one accurately depicted NASCAR fans, like not even satire. It was just the truth. So I thought it was very funny. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of the style of meme I like, and it was just perfect. So that's my pick for meme of the year.
While we had a lot of memes to go through because there were so many we had about every single episode. Some of the ones that I'll run through real quick. Laugh Flaps Coda meme with
Oh wow.
Will Smith. Laugh Flaps started his own business with the trash can of 23XI. That was really funny. And also the one he had of Denny Hamlin. Tremendations, one of Kyle Larson and Bo Wallace. Amazing meme. Very heavily edited too. Dale Earnhardt's Life of NASCAR Fan, like you mentioned, was one of my nominees. But that contested saying the wrong name, which obviously I can't believe they did that. NASCAR memes IG, the perfect marriage proposal does not exist. That was an amazing one also that had me dying laughing. Let's see who's at fault for driver injuries by NASCAR memes IG. Also, NASCAR not taking accountability for driver injuries and the safety of their cars. So those memes, Jimmy Logano's Cars 2 meme where they were shooting down at the tires. That was a good one also.
Yeah.
And I hate to be a little biased here, but also the Bubba Wallace meme that I made. But my meme of the year, obviously, is Life of NASCAR Fan. I think we could all agree with that one.
And next up, we got best content creator. Excuse me, I beg your pardon. Some of these nominees that I put, thinking about it now, I probably would have changed some of them, but these are the nominees that I thought of off the top of my head. Black Flags Matter, Eric Estep, The Iceberg, and Brock Beard. The winner of this one was Eric Estep, of course, not really surprising. He had a lot of great content, a lot of great vlogs. Obviously, he has his own thing with the podcast, with all the other guys. Some of the other ones that I wish I could have included that I just thought of, Michael Marutz. That guy had the funniest shorts, and he's one of my favorite NASCAR YouTubers, and I'm disappointed in myself for not picking him in there. I should have. I mentioned his shorts almost every week when I found them. And then Slap Shoes, he was another good one. He didn't really make that many videos throughout the season, but I really like his content.
I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of those you mentioned definitely are in the conversation. Slap Shoes, I'm not going to, I didn't put him in my nominees because he didn't upload that much. Some of the guys that I have to mention, and some of them, they're not really known by. I mean, yeah, they're known, but basically, someone just literally knocked on my door. But basically, what I'm trying to say is they're not names that come up momentarily when someone thinks of NASCAR YouTuber, but they're ones that I definitely think should be in contention for it. The Scene Vault podcast, amazing podcast with Rick Houston and Steve Wade. I love their show. They've had great episodes. I mean, they've had interviews with guys like Robert Presley this year, Rick Houston, Mark Martin, Richard Petty, Kyle Petty. They even interviewed the guy that ran in that one Talladega race, and he was like 50 miles an hour off the pace, and he never was seen again. They even interviewed that guy. I mean, I could go on and on with some of the guys they interviewed this year, and a lot of great ones. So they get it. They're definitely if you don't watch stuff, watch their stuff. Next up, another one, Going. He's a NASCAR video gamer. We do know guys like Real Radman, who's a video gamer, Michael Marutz, Soundhead Entertainment. I really love Soundhead Entertainment's content. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. But one that came to my head is someone that I feel like a lot of people don't really know about, even though he actually has 18,000 subscribers, and his name is Going. He does a lot of NASCAR video game content, so he's up there. And how can we forget the Dale Jr. download and the Dirty Mo Media? Like, not only Dale Jr.'s interviews with Mike for the Dale Jr. download, but also the stuff they do with the spotters like Brett Griffin. I really enjoy that stuff. So they're up there also. Personally, it's tough for me to choose who top content creator of the year is. I mean, there's also Racing Roots with Ham. I'll give him a shout out real quick. I've been on his show a couple of times this year. But I got to go with Eric too. I mean, yes, Eric is the most known NASCAR YouTuber, I think, out there, and he does make a lot of great content. Even though it's not always my style, I'm not huge into NASCAR commentary about news. That's just my personal thing. I prefer more history, more documentary style stuff like NASCAR Man History and Brockbeard stuff. But I agree with you. I gotta go with Eric, even though I feel like some of the nominees you did put on that list didn't upload as much, and I don't think your content was as good as some of the other guys I mentioned. That's okay. We have our disagreements, so yeah, that's all I got to really say is a little bit of a it's not a rant, but a little bit of a lengthy a common lengthy Savage NASCAR talk. So yeah, that's
I honestly
pick for a content creator.
I honestly didn't hear of that one podcast that you had mentioned, the one where they interviewed Mark Martin. I didn't know about that. That was cool. So yeah, I guess another one. I had somebody on my. Oh yeah, you don't like this guy. I know that for a fact. So that's another reason why I didn't put him on.
Don't. Oh, we're gonna have to bleep that out. Okay.
I'll cut it out. Yeah.
We'll put a classic bleep in there. It's not that I don't like them. I just haven't had a good experience with them. So we'll just leave it at that.
Valid. All right. Next up, I think this will probably be the final one off the top of my head. I'm thinking of it, if I'm correct. Most popular driver, which is really the only NASCAR award that they do besides Rookie of the Year. Some of the drivers on the list included Chase Elliott, not surprising, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, and a write-in between Bubba Wallace or William Byron. I don't know why William Byron was mentioned, but he was. The winner of the votes is pretty shocking. Chase Elliott. He won. Well, actually, it was much closer than expected. Chase Elliott won with 11 votes, and Ryan Blaney was second with 10 votes. Chase Elliott, definitely, I would have to agree, is the most popular driver. If we were being biased here, he would not be my pick. But, of course, it's Chase Elliott, so I'm not at all surprised. So, yeah, I guess I agree with Chase Elliott.
You know, I think that the most popular driver, it obviously is going to be a Hendrick driver, in my opinion, but we also can't deny Ross Chastain. I mean, he rose in popularity this year. He really did. I mean, from all the stuff he did early in the season, and then of course the Martinsville thing, which is definitely one of the craziest moments of the year, if not the craziest move of the year. So for me, it's between either Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Ross Chastain.
Chastain did rise in popularity, but he did have his moments where he was completely hated by a lot of NASCAR fans. So that's one reason why I didn't put him there. And the other reason why is like if you were to think of the popular drivers and like who a lot of NASCAR fans are like fans of, like just generic fans, I feel like those four that were on the poll were really the guys that were you would think of, plus Bubba, because he's bringing in a lot more fans and a lot more sponsors. But yeah. And then
Real
speaking
quick,
of Bubba,
go ahead.
we got go ahead.
I was gonna say I have a couple other categories, but you go ahead.
Well, one category is the clown of the year.
Yeah, we
Nominees
forgot
for
about
this
that.
one are Nick Adams, Natalie Decker, Ty Gibbs, and Bubba Wallace. I guess we should say why each each person is here, but look at this. We got to shut the meeting down again. So when we get back to that, we will do the clown of the year. All right, guys, we're back. So next up, we got the clown of the year. Now, I already said the nominees, but if you did not hear them, Nick Adams, Natalie Decker, Ty Gibbs, and Bubba Wallace. So just as a disclaimer, so people don't go rioting in the comments, because I know that probably Bubba Wallace is going to be rioting. Our Bubba Wallace stands are going to be rioting in our comment section. I'm going to explain the reasons why people are in this. So first of all, Nick Adams. Many people may not know who this is, but for those of you that don't know, Nick Adams is like some political far-right activist who made a lot of questionable tweets about Wallace, basically picking on everything that he did, really. Basically saying he's not a good racer. There was a lot of like racist stuff that he had said. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but all I know
I
is
don't
these
think he's
tweets
anything
were.
racist. But
I thought there was like one thing that was kind of racist or whatever. And he didn't really know anything about the sport. Like I know he said the 45 had such a rich history before Bubba
yeah,
Wallace when it was not a winning car at all. And there were just some other stupid tweets that I can't name off the top of my head, but they were just very, very stupid. So he's definitely on that list. Natalie Decker, because she had a couple of really stupid tweets. One of them was that she wanted to ask the NFL to change the start time of the season so race season could finish.
yeah, that was cool.
I think there was another one where she was complaining about like how, well, obviously she complains a lot how people objectify her, but gives the fuel for it. I think there was some where she was complaining about how, oh, this is why she was also on there, because she complained that like female drivers don't get treated as well as male drivers. Same with Tony Bredinger. She could probably be on that as well, but I just thought Decker was worse because she had more stupid moments. Ty Gibbs, because of his entitled attitude, as well as him wrecking his teammate at Martinsville.
Yeah.
And then Bubba Wallace, because he wrecked Kyle Larson at Kansas. So the winner is, drum roll please, Ty Gibbs with 11 votes. He is your clown of the year. And I got to say, I agree with this. Now, I don't like really any of the people on this list, but Ty Gibbs, I just feel like he just did the most like clowny things. I mean, come on. He compared himself to Jesus, or made himself sound like he was comparing himself to Jesus, which added fuel to his hatred. He wrecks his own teammate. He gets upset when people bump him, but yet has bumped people out of the way numerous times for a win. I mean, the dude is the obvious choice for this one.
You know, you bring a lot of great points there. I mean, I will say another one that some people would say would be clown of the year, but he's like, I don't know if he'd be considered a nominee, but some people did call him a clown this year, and that is NRE Productions. A lot of people don't really
Yeah.
like this dude. He's on
Yeah.
Twitter. He says a lot of crazy stuff on NASCAR, but I don't mind him. I mean, I respect what he's doing. I mean, he's trying his best to create content. I don't think he's a bad guy. But moving on, Nick Adams definitely a huge clown. I mean, as you had mentioned, not knowing really anything that he's talking about, just saying random stuff without doing his research. He was saying stuff like how Bubba Wallace was an embarrassment to racing and stuff like that. Just stupid. Natalie Decker definitely had some of the worst tweets we've seen this year. Natalie Decker, I mean, it's crazy, bro. You literally complain about not seeing the NASCAR race in a bar when you can literally apparently you should have enough money to go to see a race at Charlotte, even though you live in the area. Like, come on, like you can literally drive there and probably take like 15, 20 minutes. It's not that far away.
Right.
To Charlotte Speedway, because a lot of the NASCAR like drivers and teams are from the Charlotte area. So
Of course.
it's just stupid when she said that. Now I would say that Bo Wallace's move on Kyle Larson definitely is the second. I think it's the second worst moment of the year, and I think definitely he was such a clown move, dude. Like, I mean, it was horrible, and I'm surprised he only got suspended for a race. I thought he should have been suspended for the rest of the year for that, especially with how dangerous the cars are at the moment and all the concerns that have been going on. So, but for me, I have to agree with you. Ty Gibbs definitely is the clown of the year, and I hate to be like that, especially since he lost his father, unfortunately, the day after he had won the title in the Xfinity Series. But he had so many like horrible moments, like just from the driving standpoint, like he said, like of course wrecking his teammate at Martinsville, definitely one of the worst moments of the year. Him attacking Sam Mayer while still wearing a helmet, stuff like that. Just being a hypocrite too, like with some of the stuff he's saying, and it just doesn't make any sense. So he's kind of a year in my opinion.
Well, I know that you have a couple more awards that you personally would like to give out that we did not mention tonight. So please go ahead and do that.
First up, worst crash of the year. And this is one that it's kind of hard to decide on because there was some pretty bad ones. So Maya Snyder at Daytona was another bad one. Kevin Harvick had a pretty hard hit at Texas also. And I'm pretty sure Tyler Reddick had a pretty hard wreck too. I don't remember which track it was at, but he had a pretty bad wreck. Carson Hocevar at Gateway, driver's side, that was a pretty hard impact also. But for me, the worst crash of the year was Maya Snyder.
21's going to come with a huge shove.
They are 2 and 3 wide behind him. Crossover. That's
comes.
Austin Hill in the 21. Big crash. Up and over. Caution is out.
What about
Chris
you?
Buescher? Chris Buescher, I feel like, is another nominee because the car just
Why
randomly.
did I forget that?
Yeah,
Bro,
I mean, the
why did I
car just
forget
randomly flipped.
Dude, also that big one with two together, Logano hit the wall pretty hard at the 600.
I think I got to agree with Myatt Snyder, though. Just the way that car flipped, the way it looked like so many different crashes all at once, and the amount of destruction that it left, that is definitely my worst crash, but that Buescher one is a close second.
Next up, best finish of the season. And there was a lot of great finishes this year. But for me, it comes down to two. It comes down to Bristol Dirts and Dakota Race. I mean, both had some crazy finishes there. I was on the edge of my seat, jumping up and down watching that Dakota race. I was very excited to see my guy, Ross Chastain, his first win. And then there's the Bristol one where, Chase Briscoe was going for the win, and he set a dive bomb, took himself and Reddick out. So I want to let you decide this one, Mike.
Well, another nominee was Talladega Spring when Ross Chastain won. how he got underneath all those cars and he passed them and that wreck at the end. But I think I also have to go with the Bristol dirt race. It was just so wild. I remember it. I thought Reddick was going to get across the line, but Kyle Busch was just right there. And just where did he come from? So I definitely agree, Bristol dirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to decide, but I'll go with that also. Another thing I thought of for worst moment of the season was officiating in the Talladega truck race.
Yeah.
Dude, so horrible. But next up we're gonna go. I thought two more. So best track of the year and worst track of the year. So first up, best track of the year. This is a tough one to decide because we saw some interesting racing at Bristol this year. Not only during the dirt race, but the fall race. It was interesting racing. It wasn't bad at all. I mean, it was better than last year for sure. Martinsville definitely would not be in the best. They would be sort towards the low for worst. But for me, it's so hard to decide this one. So I want to say Darlington, though. I think Darlington had the best races out of all the tracks if you were to combine both the spring and the fall one.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. Darlington was a great one.
Now, for worst track, this one, we could go many ways with this one. I mean, we could go with Las Vegas. We could go with Martinsville, Richmond, the LA Coliseum, even maybe. I know Portland was kind of rough. Mike shook his head with disapproval. But Portland would have been a good race, as I mentioned earlier, without the rain. But it was just not a great race. Road America was all right, just wasn't a whole lot of action, and they took off the schedule, unfortunately. But for me, the worst track of the year, and it's not Knoxville, it is the Indianapolis Road Course. I do not like it. And I've said this on many episodes before. Why are we racing there? Why are we racing the road course? Why can't we race the oval? Most fans want the oval. And the road course races here, yeah, it had a very exciting moment, maybe, but it wasn't it.
I got to go with Texas personally. Both of the races there were not great. It's not a good track, in my opinion, anymore. It's only on the schedule because it's in the South. I just don't really like Texas that much anymore. So Texas overall, worst one.
That is a great point, Mike. Yeah, Texas is definitely up there. I think it's definitely between the Indianapolis road course and Texas, but I'm going to go with the road course.
All right. Well, I think that's going to close out the award video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Yeah.
You only calling now. You wanted what I think.